all. Today I have Nate Nardi with me here, co-owner and glass artist with Decatur Glass Blowing.
Hi.
Welcome, Nate.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time. You and your wife, Carly, own Decatur Glass Blowing, and you're both glass artists. So tell us where Decatur Glass Blowing is located, please, and just how you guys started up in the first place.
Well, we're located in Decatur, Georgia. Uh, how we started up in the first place, that can be a really long story. So I'm not sure how deeply you want me to get into it, but I first started working with glass just over 20 years ago. Randomly fell into it while I was going to school. Somebody came in, asked if I want to see a glass blowing demonstration. Went and checked it out, knew nothing about it. Looked really interesting and cool, and it's just, unlike anything I'd ever seen before. I found out I could take a class, took a class, and kind of put everything into trying to continue doing it ever since. That's kind of how I got started in glass. I grew up in Clarkston, a few miles down the road from here, and but I was traveling around a lot of years, anywhere I could get a job doing glass or working with glass. Big part of my job was a lot of places I went to in schools and places I worked was being a studio technician, fixing equipment, building equipment, doing all the things to upkeep a shop, and assisting with glass and assisting with teaching glass. And I guess I'm trying to make it not too long of a story, but some buddies of mine were trying to start a shop up. They had a contract with somebody else I worked for to get things going. And they asked me if I wanted to be a part of this shop they wanted to start up, and sounded like a cool idea. I would have never imagined starting my own shop up at that time, but they kind of put the idea in my head. When I started doing some work for the other guy that was going to give us a contract, things went really well. And then about 8 months in, as we were going to try to do it, the other two guys said they had changed their mind. They weren't ready to jump in and do it, leave their 9-to-5 jobs and do it. And I had decided I was going to figure out how to do it anyways. So instead of going to Jacksonville, Florida, where they were, I came back here to Atlanta, where I grew up, or Clarkston, Decatur area, and found a space. Just started doing it. I had been building some equipment over the past 8 months, just continued to put the shop together. Lucked out on space. I guess it was many days or a year, 8 months of searching. Had a little bit of help on getting the financing for it and making it all happen, and here I am.
Well, that's a really courageous move when people drop out on you, and you're thinking you're going to do this thing, and now it's like, am I still going to do it or not? That's
Well, it was kind of, I would have never thought of doing it, and until they put that idea in my head. I was like, maybe one day, and they put the idea in my head, and I just, ever since they put it in my head, I was like, all right, how can I do this? How can I make it happen? And just kept trying to move towards the goal of making it happen. And here I am. It's been like I said, I've been here about 10 years, never any process of putting, almost everything back into it, trying to make it, better: tools, equipment, space, just making it into a space where we can, make and do anything we want with the material. And also, trying to make it a better space for the public, for events and classes. And, not only, my passion is working with the material, making with the material. I work with steel and some other materials a bit, but I love working with the glass. I like the challenge sometimes of doing custom projects. I can get carried away and just making, little production items for a day or two or a few days, but I always like trying to take it to another level as well, whether it's with the material or the tools or the equipment. And I guess that's been a big factor in everything, just always trying to make it better, whether it's for my own skills and what I can make, or for, the public, and teaching and spreading glass throughout the community as well.
Yeah, remind people where your gallery is, by the way, in Decatur.
The gallery is here at the shop where we make the work. The address is 250 Freeman Street, Decatur, Georgia 30030. We're located kind of between Agnes Scott College and Avondale MARTA Station, over there in that area of Decatur.
Yeah, you guys are like right off of College Avenue, right?
Yeah, pretty much. You got to drive around a block to park at our place. But
yeah, very central. So Just one thing that you remarked on was, when you saw glass blowing happening for the first time, you were kind of like, wow. So what do you think it was? Like, what do you think drew you into that particular art form?
Oh, I mean, it was, I don't know. You'd have to see if you saw the hot glass and somebody worked with hot glass, you might understand. It's almost something magical about the material. And I mean, it doesn't even look like glass when you're working with multi-glass, or nothing I would ever thought of glass being. But yeah, I'm not sure how to describe it at the moment. I'll think that question through a little bit.
Okay. Um, Sometimes we don't know. It just is.
Yeah.
It is what it is because you can't help but want to do it.
I think part of it might be the challenge of working with the material. I mean, I think like anything else, the more time and effort and, more you put into anything, you can always get better at it. But glass is one of those things I could be doing it the rest of my life and always, trying to take it to another level. Was the size, the intricacy of the color patterns, the shape. So it's always, fun trying to push what I can do with material and try new things with it. I'm sure I broke more glass than anybody, trying that process.
That's not something we think about, right? We always think it's just going to be perfect, and it's, when you see it happening.
No,
I mean, it's one thing that you are a glass artist, but like, you went next level, right? I mean, you've created a business, you guys are teaching classes, you have a gallery, was that anywhere in your thinking though? I know you were sort of given this sort of idea from friends, hey, open up a shop or what have you, but was there anywhere in your mind that you were always sort of wanting this? Because you've grown pretty well there over the 10 years.
yeah, I mean, I've had and still have a lot of dreams and ideas and goals I'm working towards, and generally everything changes. I mean, it never goes as planned. That's something I think the glasses taught me very well. When you're working with a glass piece, it just doesn't work as you plan it. It takes doing it and doing it again and again and again, and just finding ways to make it work or make it happen. I mean, again, I love working with the material. It's been a kind of a fun challenge, starting the business and running the business and keeping it going and taking it to the next level. And no, I didn't say, hey, I'm going to build a shop and do all the things I'm doing now. It was, I had some contract making some work for another artist. I had been showing work and selling work through a few galleries and gift shops over the years. I had a few, regular commissions I got here and there over the years, that I kept up with as I worked full time for other people. But it was, it's just like, hey, I'm going to figure out how to do it and make it happen. And I didn't say, hey, I'm going to teach classes or I'm going to, have a gallery. It was more like, I'm just going to do what I'm doing and keep doing more and get work out there and figure out how to do it. And I enjoyed teaching. I never thought I necessarily wasn't going to teach classes, but it, just kind of worked into the equation, and it's become a big part of our business, where it's it's just a fun thing for people to come try and experience for the most part, whether it's a date or we do corporate group classes, community events, birthday parties. So it's really become part of it's almost become somewhat part of, I guess you could say, the entertainment industry almost. But with that said, we also have people that, it's educational, it's entertaining, fun thing for people to do, just get experience working with material. But at the same time, we also have some students that come here, that's something they really want to pursue as a career or a hobby. And we work with them our best we can towards their goals as well. Sorry, getting off track a little bit here.
No, that's awesome. I mean, you're talking about the giving back part. It's probably kind of an unexpected, offshoot of doing what you're doing. And I mean, you had a wow experience, so why not give that back to everybody else, right? I mean,
Yeah, and it works both ways. I mean, we get, helps our business as well. And there's, again, I do a lot of different things with glass between the classes. I do a lot of corporate gifts, corporate awards, a lot of things I sell through gift shops and galleries. And again, sometimes I come in, I just make things I want to make because I want to try something different. But I had different ideas throughout the years how I could make it work, but it was more just doing it, and some things don't work. And you try them again, it doesn't work again, and then maybe you move on to something else, or you keep trying it until you figure it out.
So what on this trajectory that you're on, where do you think, how do you think your work is going to expand over the coming years, or do you want it to, and yeah, the business as well?
Well, again, just like I've had over the last 10 years, a lot of different ideas. I guess a lot of times I don't like to get too into it because, like I said, a lot of times it doesn't go as planned. COVID hit a couple years ago, and that definitely threw me for a loop on how things were going. But we made it through the last couple of years well, and I was able to keep all my employees on, enough to keep them here, and we had enough. We stopped classes, but we had enough other stuff to keep us busy. I've done a few larger scale projects. I have, fun seeing some larger, glass and the work steel a bit, and seeing some of those projects come together. I have a lot of ideas for doing some more stuff along those lines, possibly. Still trying to expand the business. That's a whole another thing. It's the glass blowing and making the work, kind of in a way is becoming a smaller part of what I do on a daily basis. When I started, I was like every day, get in here and make. Now it's just keeping up with all these other aspects of, how to keep a team of people working together. And, between the marketing, the upkeep of the shop, my shop is growing, trying to expand to, more space, bigger space. And it's a lot to keep up with. But I think I would like to do some larger scale projects. Larger scale projects, of course, take a lot more time, a lot more money. So how do I balance that in with everything I'm already doing? I think it'd be cool to get more projects, getting the community more involved. Maybe even some large scale projects, getting more of the community involved. And also a thing that's on my list I've been trying to make happen is start inviting some, visiting glass artists here from other places. So there's a lot of famous glass artists out there doing really amazing things, and I'm trying to figure out a way I can start getting funding. I can pay somebody else to come here and maybe do demonstrations or workshop for a weekend, or just a fun event where they're making a few pieces and showing some of their work, just to share other glass and more glass with people.
Well, that's interesting, because that's what I was thinking about, like been to Venice and seen glass work there, and didn't know if you had any sort of, partnership, not even partnerships, but just relationships. And that's that's almost like an exchange program for artists, what you're describing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's something I've been thinking about for a lot of years. And actually, we had somebody lined up to come here right before COVID. I don't know if y'all have seen the Netflix Blown Away series, but that's definitely done a lot for my business. I think a lot of other studios like me, where it's getting, the type of stuff we're doing out there, so a lot more people know about it. It's definitely brought a lot of people our way, and we're hoping to get some people from that series to come in. I think that could be fun and a learning experience for me and other people in the area. And but yeah, there's a number of different artists I've been talking to about the idea of coming here to blow glass.
Well, for what you're up to there at Decatur Glass Blowing, what do you think someone would not know by simply just sort of looking at your website and just being on the outside of things, that you think is sort of special or might be surprising for people to understand what's going on there?
Sorry, that's a good question. I think seeing the images and even the videos or all the stuff we have written on the website, I think it's a different thing looking at that than actually coming to the shop and seeing that molten glass in person. And I think with YouTube and all these other social media outlets, it's really neat because you can watch all these videos on glass blowing, and a lot of people can learn a lot about it. And I can watch videos of people making things, and I can learn a lot from just watching all these videos. When I started as in a university system, and they didn't have all that, you had my friend had a couple of VHSs of a couple of Italian masters making some pieces, and we'd blow glass like till 2 a.m. Then we'd go back and we'd watch the same video again, making this little goblet. And, you know, it's like really bad quality, fuzzy, weird angles, and trying to understand how they did it. So I'm a little off track, but you can see and learn all this stuff from that. But it's a whole nother experience seeing it in person and being in front of the heat and seeing that molten glass move in person. So I don't know if that quite answers the question, but I think coming to the shop, experiencing, you know, you don't even have to sign up for a class, just stop through when we're open. You can look at some hot glass moving around and yeah, ask some questions if you got questions about it.
Yeah, and tell us, because you talked about this with me earlier before we got started, to explain the hot glass versus cold glass sort of part of this process.
Well, I mean, as well, when I was referring to it when we started, I was just, you know, talking about how, you know, there's something different about working with that molten fluid glass than after the piece is cooled down and it's just a solid piece of non-moving glass. So it's something about the hot glass that I guess really intrigues me or mesmerizes me or has really pulled me into the art of blowing glass or the craft of blowing glass. I've always kind of liked working with my hands, building, making, creating with my hands. Again, like I said, I do work with metal, steel, some different materials, but you know, glass is a little bit different. Now, as far as working the glass hot, working the glass cold, you know, there are ways to cut, carve, polish, shape cold glass as well, and we do a fair bit of that here. It's not my main specialty, but something like this round paperweight, once it's made, it breaks off the rod down here, and there's a little sharp or rough edge at the bottom of it here. And so after it's cooled, we got special equipment to grind that down flat and then slowly polish it out, starting at a coarse grit, then finer, and polish. And there's a lot of tools and techniques as far as cutting, carving, grinding, polishing glass, a lot of finishing work or work that can be done as decorative work on a piece, and then it can be reheated and reshaped. So we do a bit of that too. Generally don't teach classes on it, but if there's a regular student come in that really wants to learn that process, we're happy to get into that as well. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, of course.
If,
You're talking about how much you liked working with the hot glass part of the process. What do you think people taking classes, like what's the feedback? What are they kind of in love with about it or wowed by when they're in there doing it?
yeah, I mean, I think, you know, you can check our reviews and see what people say. I mean, it's hard for me to speak for other people, but I mean, I think it's, you know, it's a lot of it's kind of just a fun thing to come experience something different, learn some new things about glass, how it, you know, works when it's hot, the material. But you know, I think it is, a lot of people ask, oh, what, you don't wear gloves or what, you know, things like that. And because you can feel the heat, there's a lot of heat coming off the material. But you know, you have a glove on your hand, that glove starts heating up or getting hot. You can't pull that glove off real quick. If you get close to it, you feel the heat and you generally know to move away from it, but you're never gonna really experience it until you do it. You know, it's just
Makes
a whole
total
different
sense.
thing.
I hear you. Well, everybody, to learn more, check out DecaturGlassBlowing.com and see some of the cool video demonstrations they have on there. Learn about the class opportunities. There's a lot there to check out. Thank you so much, Nate, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, check out our website or social media, and hopefully we'll be putting out information on bringing those visiting artists in, or the new things we're doing in the shop, or hopefully some more community events as well.
Yeah, for sure. I'll follow you guys too. So wishing you all the best with the art and the business.
All right, thank you very much. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks. Take care.